you talk, so it should be fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, welcome back everyone for coaching number 2 with WildHungarian. Again, if you weren't here last time, the previous coaching is in my YouTube, which you can get from my channel. And yeah, so these are $3.50 6 max hyper turbos that we'll be reviewing, and we'll just be looking for leaks and trying to help WildHungarian get better at these games. So
Yeah.
let's just start away. Can you see the first hand? Ace for offsuit in the big blind?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Alright,
White
good.
Hungarian, by the way, is very happy for the help and the coaching. Just wanted to say.
Okay, sure, of course. Remember, like, just
Yeah.
interrupt me if you need to, because, yeah, I tend to
Okay.
talk too much.
Okay. Okay.
If you have any
Okay.
questions, just it's okay just to interrupt what I'm saying and ask your question.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, ace queen, very good. Um, so this one's like it's okay to raise this, but it's close. Um,
Uh-huh.
I would say to new players, just fold this hand because in order to make this a profitable raise in this kind of
Mhm.
game where everyone's short, you need to be very good at playing post flop because you're going to get
Mhm.
called and you have to see a lot of flops. So the hand does play good, but it can be hard because sometimes you'll have to play out of position, and it depends. You know, if it's a loose table and they're re-raising a lot and re-pushing all in, then it's not going to be a good raise. But I think in these low stakes games you can do this, but
Mhm.
if you're not confident in your post flop game, then this is the kind of hand that I would say stop raising this and just fold.
Mhm.
Especially if you're playing a lot of tables, like you only play 4 tables, right?
Yeah, now only three when I stream because I can only make it
Okay,
on
so
three.
with 3 tables, this is fine because you know, there's not too much action. But if you're playing 10 or 12 tables, then this is the
Uh-huh.
hand where I would just fold because there's just too much going on, and this one is not going to win you a lot of money, and you have to play very, very well to get profit out of this spot.
Mm-hmm. And you mean like you would take it out of the range and in any stakes?
Yes, definitely. I think that this
Okay.
raise gets worse as you move up the stakes. So the higher the stakes is, the worse raising King Jack suited would be in under the gun.
And so what would be the like what would be your range? Just I'm curious.
Okay, so the default range for raising in this like
Yeah,
early
under the gun.
early stages under the gun would be Ace 10 suited, um, and pocket eights or better. Like King Queen suited, just fold. Ace 10 offsuit, just fold. Because
So and any off ace like ace queen
yeah, yeah, you can raise Ace 10
or
suited
ace
or
jack.
better. So that's Ace 10 suited or better includes like
Uh-huh.
Ace Queen, Ace Jack, Ace King, all that
Uh-huh.
offsuit. But fold Ace 10 offsuit. And in the pairs, you can raise pocket eights, nines, tens, jacks, all that. But you fold everything else. That's the default tight range. Now you can widen that and add more hands, but like I said, you need to be comfortable and confident. And as you move up to the high stakes, those loose raises, it can be good, it can be bad, but it's going to depend a lot on the players. So as you move up into the higher stakes, you get much more aggressive players, and against aggressive players,
Mm-hmm.
raising more hands in early position is going to get worse because you're going to get re-pushed all in, and you're not even going to see a flop. So
Uh-huh.
this hand is okay to raise in the low stakes because people like calling, and you're going to see a flop, and that's what you want with this hand. You want to see a flop. Against one person would be fine. If they all fold, that's fine as well, just winning the blinds. But yeah, as you move up, it's going to get worse, especially on aggressive tables. So the standard range: Ace 10 suited or better, pocket eights or better in the early stages. That's when you have
Uh-huh.
20 big blinds. But when the blinds go up and you get 10 big blinds and you're just going to be push or fold, well, you can just shove all in with more hands because the blinds are higher. But when the blinds are low like this and you have 20 big blinds, you need to stick to a tighter range. So my suggestion for you would be to just fold this until you get more confident in playing post flop in first position in under the gun. You can raise it from the cutoff. You can even raise it from the hijack from one position to the left. You can raise it, but not from under the gun.
Okay.
Okay, well, ace queen, there's a lot of money out there. I hope we just shove, because I think that there's enough chips that you just want to shove this. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, queen 8, we'll just fold against a raise. 4-7, we'll just fold.
Mm-hmm.
King 9, damn, just fold again.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Fold that, king 3, good. Not too much going on in this game, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Good push.
It happened. Mm-hmm.
So in this spot with king 9, if you don't know this player, and it's just the first time you played against him and they're not playing too crazy, you can push here any 2 cards. So 2-3 offsuit you can push if you don't know this guy. Now, if you play with Eric APK a lot and maybe he's a loose caller, well, you can't push 2-3 offsuit if he's going to call you with hands like queen 2 suited and king 2 offsuit, because you know you're pushing into a loose caller. So if he's a loose player, don't push any 2 cards and push maybe something like 70%. But king 9s are always an easy push.
Yeah, yeah.
But 70%, yeah, something like any king, any offsuit queen, jack 5 off, 10-6 off, 8-6 offsuit, 7-6, something like that. Any suited hand is fine against loose players. But tight players, just shove any 2. It's very important that you're pushing any 2 card range.
Okay.
Okay, I like this call. It's a loose call, but it's correct, because you only have 3 big blinds. So a suited jack 7 against a big stack pushing the small blind is going to be a good call. I like it.
And it's bugged out.
Bugged out? Can you see?
What?
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just said that the jack suited worked out.
Oh, you were talking about the
Yeah.
rundown, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Skype or something like that.
No.
Alright, this hand, this is very interesting. 6 big blind push from the same guy. What did he have last hand? He had king queen. Okay, that doesn't tell us anything because king queen's a good hand. It's pretty close. If we were in the big blind, it would definitely be a call. But because we're in the small blind, I think it makes it much closer. I feel like king queen suited is easily an all-in. King jack suited should be an all-in. So this one, yeah, it's very, very close. It's going to depend on how loose he is. So I don't mind folding because we don't have a lot of information on that player. But that's something that if you run a HUD or you have some kind of reads, if he's a loose player, you could definitely go all in there with queen jack because he should be pushing 6 big blinds loose on the button.
Yeah.
His range should be 50%. And queen jack suited against 50% range is doing very, very well. Okay, so we'll move on. Bubble time.
Yeah.
Ace 9 is just a call in the big blind. My replay is bugged out. You don't have the button, you're in the big blind. So that's a good call. Bad luck. So nothing really to talk about in that game. Just that little raise that we made with king jack suited. Maybe you can adjust that a little bit. And not raise so loose in first position. Let's load up another game.
Okay.
Okay. So more hyper turbo action. Okay. So there's 2 things we can do here. The first thing to note is that the small blind's raising quite big. He's made it more than 3 times the big blind, 3.5 times, just a very big raise. There's already 100 chips out there, and you're only risking 500. So whenever you can win 20% of your stack pre-flop, it's a good opportunity to push all in. So I think pushing all in would be my Um, it would be my first option, but it's a little bit weird here because when people raise big, sometimes it means that they have a hand. So I don't mind calling here, and I think this is the second option. So because this is the first hand, we don't know anything about this player. We don't know whether he's raising this much with a strong hand or whether he's just trying to steal. We'll just play it a little bit safe and call, but you could certainly push all in there because there's a lot of chips out there when he raises so much. Now he checks to us. I think that this is a fairly weak play. When he raises very large and then just checks this flop, it feels like he's scared to me. When people check, they're usually scared. So our ace 2 does have a little bit of showdown value. Like, we beat hands like king 9 and king 8, and maybe he has like a jack 8. We beat all those hands already, but the problem with checking, in my opinion, is that if you check, he might look at a hand like jack 7, let's say the turn is a 4, and go, well, he checked as well, so let's just bluff. So if you check, you open up the opportunity for him to bluff into you, and you can't call the turn with just ace high on a board of like queen 10, 3, 4. It's very hard for you to call turn and then call river. So what I would do is just turn my hand into a bluff now and try to get him to fold. He's definitely not folding a queen. He's probably not folding a 10, but he might fold a 3, which is good. And even if he folds hands like king 8 or jack 8 or, you know, like, I don't know, other kings like king 9, I don't think he can have king 9 here because he has a gut shot and he would probably bet that. But let's just say he has a king 9. He might fold those hands, and they have good equity against you anyway. And it's just very hard for you to play the pot correctly if you check, because it's very easy for him to bluff into you, and you can't really call down with a hand this weak. So that's why I would bet the flop, because now what's going to happen, even if he has nothing, let's say he has 5-4 offsuit, he can easily just bet now, because the board is very scary, and when you check, you show a lot of weakness. So that's what he's doing. He's betting, and you can't do anything. You just fold. Whoa! But you call. I don't know about this. I think that you're just guessing. You're guessing. He could have a queen. He could have a 10. He could have a 9. It's just You're just guessing, and the pot is huge.
Yeah.
So you might win this. Maybe he was bluffing, but
When he checks back on the river, I feel like everyone has nothing, whoever does that.
yeah, of
'Cause if
course.
someone has something,
Yeah. After he checks the river, you're probably gonna win this, but like calling the turn, you don't know that he's gonna check the river. He could easily just go 300 all in here, and then you waste that turn bet. And he could still check river with a 10 and a 9. I think he could easily have a better hand than you as well. But sometimes you win, sometimes he wins. But the way that you're playing it is that you're playing poker by guessing. You're just guessing if he has a pair, but you don't want to do that. You want to try and win the pot by being aggressive and force force him to be the one that's guessing. So if he check and you bets, if he has a 10, he's just guessing whether you have a queen or not. So then what you can do is, if the turn is a spade or the turn is a king, you can maybe put in a bluff if you feel like it. You don't have to. And then he's the one that's guessing. Because after he checks, it's very unlikely he has a queen. He's the best hand he can really have is something like a 10 or maybe a weak queen, like queen 2. But still, I think it's more likely that he just has a draw or a 10. And that you can put a lot of pressure on him and force him into playing a guessing game against you. But when you check, you're guessing against him, so it's hard. It's easy for him to make the correct decision. So you do split this, but I think you could have won that hand by being more aggressive on the flop.
Yeah, so like definitely that was a problem, that I was just guessing and calling there. Yeah.
So
I shouldn't really do that, I guess.
So you need to find the spots where you're guessing. Like whenever you're playing a hand and you're like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just guessing whether I have the best hand or not. You need to mark that hand and figure out a better way of playing it so that you're not guessing in poker. So how I would convert that into a profitable spot would be just bluff the flop. Just turn ace high into a bluff and bet. Then if he check raises, you fold. If he check calls, Well, you can decide whether you want to continue your bluff, maybe on some good bluff cards, like if you turn a flush draw, or if the turn is an ace, you can even value bet, or the turn is a king, it's a very scary card, you can maybe bluff then. Or, if you think that he's not going to fold, just check and give up. You don't have to play a guessing game, but your bluff didn't work, you just give up. That's fine as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
And would you say that in general, when someone who raised doesn't bet the flop, I should kind of pretty often bet?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So in general,
Like
yeah,
100%?
when people put chips in the small blind, or and they don't continuation bet, they're weak in general. Sometimes they're trapping, and sometimes they end up check calling. But when you take that opportunity to just bet half pot and try and win, you're only investing half pot. So you only need to win 1/3 of the time to make that a profitable bet. And I think way more often than 1/3, they're just going to fold. And if they call, you just go, okay, it didn't work, and you just give up. So another example is if someone limps a small blind and you have a trash hand and you just check and you see a flop and then they check the flop, you bet. Doesn't matter what your hand is, doesn't matter what the flop is, just bet. Because
Okay.
very often they're just going to check fold.
Okay.
So checking and limping, both very weak plays in general.
Okay.
Okay, good call with the fives, nothing really to talk about there. I don't like this call. So we have 6-5 offsuit, and how much do we have to call? Let's just see. 55. See, the problem with this is that we're not closing the action. So the big blind can shove all in with a lot of chips out there. So we are getting good odds, but our hand is terrible. I think if
Yeah.
you want to play this hand, there's already 200 chips out there, and you're not risking 800. You're only risking the 423 against the big blind. So there's already 235 out there. If you want to play, just push all in. But 6-5 offsuit's not strong enough for me to play this. I would just fold.
By the way, like twice when I was playing at this day, I misclicked, so there's a chance that that was a mistake because this doesn't make any sense
Okay,
that I
cool.
called there.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
Let's hope that we will not find more than two things
It's
like
fine.
this.
It's fine, guys. Whenever WildHungarian makes a mistake, it was just a misclick, guys. Don't worry. Just a
Yes,
misclick.
yes, exactly. Just remember.
I like this push. Very nice. So
Uh-huh.
9 big blinds, 4-5 suited. It might look like a weak hand, but I'm happy to see you push this because you put a lot of pressure on the blinds. There's enough money out there. It's certainly one of the lowest hands I would push, but it is suited, it is connected,
Yeah.
and you're going to get a lot of folds, so I really like this. Good job.
Thank you.
Good pushing loose in the small blind. Like I said before, against unknown players, you can push almost any two cards in that spot. In fact, I would push any two cards. 2-3 offsuit. The only reason I would fold is if I know that he's a loose player. Or a regular. It's hard to get a regular playing $3 games. You probably know who they are though. Queen 10 offsuit,
Yeah.
good call. Nothing really much there. King Queen, easy. Pocket 10s, easy. King 7, yeah, that's a fold. Good. 8-3, oh, we get a walk, that's nice. 8-5, fold that. 4-6, fold that. Fold, fold, fold. Another walk. Okay, very boring game, but it's all good. Bubble time. Ugh. This one... Okay, again, it's a situation where you can push any two cards. It really depends on the opponent. So this is a perfect example. If he's loose, just fold, because 3-8 offsuit is one of the worst hands you can get. It's bottom 10% of poker hands in Hold'em. But if he's a tight player, then I would push any two cards. So it really just depends on the player. It didn't work out. He just had jacks.
Yeah.
But I like your
Yeah.
play. I like your play. Let's see if we can load up another game.
By the way, I got one subscriber and I'm thankful for it. Scared man limping. Yay! Thank you for the subscribe.
Put those balloons in the chat. That's what you need to say. Balloons.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I like this steel. It's loose,
Mhm.
but we can
Mhm.
also just limp. Like I taught you last week, Limp-stab here
Mhm.
is a good play as
Uh-huh.
well. Have you been using that in your games?
Sometimes it came to my mind, but honestly, like very, like I kind of have to write it up that I do this because it's just such a habit
Mm-hmm.
that like I
That
really
you
have to
raise.
remind myself.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Just know that it is something you can do. So if
Mhm.
you like, this is a perfect example where the hand is not very good. So like by raising, you just bloat the pot and make the pot bigger, but your hand is quite terrible. So you can still, like, you don't have to fold, but you can just limp stab this terrible hand and play it a bit safer if you feel like it, but you don't have to.
Mhm.
So now, like he calls, like he's probably calling everything anyway because he likes seeing flops, and people in low stakes games don't like folding their big blinds. So if you just limped, the pot would have been 40 chips, but now the pot's 92, it's
Mm.
already double, so your c-bet has to be at least 45 probably, or 40,
Mm.
but if
Mhm.
you limp stab, your c-bet is 10 or 15, so
Uh-huh.
you're just investing more chips with bad hands by raising this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, bet, that's fine. Bet turn is good for value. Check. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. It's kind of, you can check call, you can just value bet again. Maybe he calls down with ace high or a 3. Uh, it depends. We just can't fold, so you have to call. Ooh, I don't like the way you
Yeah.
check folded here.
Uh-huh.
So on the flop, queen, queen 3, it's very dry. It's neither of you have anything most of the time. So he called pre-flop, he could have ace high, he could have king high, he could have jack 10, he could have like 6-5. There's so many hands he could have. So when people call these kind of flops, queen, queen 3, that are very
Mhm.
dry, they're just trying to hope that you give up and they can steal it from you. Now,
Uh-huh.
because you bet the turn and he called again, he probably has something. Now, it's hard to make trips in poker, so I don't give him credit for having a queen. I think he could just have a 3, or he could have ace high or king high that he's not willing to fold because he doesn't
Uh-huh.
believe you. He just doesn't believe that you have anything on this board.
Yeah.
Queen, queen, 3, 9. It's also hard for you to have anything. So on the river, there's two options. We can check call and hope that he bluffs a hand like king high, or we can bet small to get value from a 3 or ace high.
Mhm.
Those are the two options. I don't like check folding because your hand strength on this flop, on this board, you have second pair, and like it's just so unlikely that he has trips. It's very hard to have trips in Hold'em.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, if I check, I'm not folding, and if I bet, I would bet maybe 100 chips to try and get value from a 3 or an ace.
Uh-huh.
I like, I'd probably bet, I think, but either line is fine.
Mhm.
By check folding, you're giving him too much respect. You're saying, all right, you have a queen, but I really think it's very hard for him to hit trips.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he could have a queen, but you don't want to be folding second pair just because you're scared of him having trips.
Yeah. And for example, if I do this limp thing,
Hmm.
then okay, I do it with a bad hand. So if someone raises back or something, then I just fold.
Yeah,
It's a bad hand, right?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
you just fold. So if someone raises pre-flop, you just fold, and that's
Mhm.
that's fine because if they have a hand that they think is strong enough to raise against a limper, they would have pushed all in pre-flop anyway, or they would have called your raise. So, like, that's not a bad thing. If you get raised, it just tells you that they probably had a hand. Now, if you limp and they raise you all the time, well, you need to stop limping because they might be against that player because they might
Yeah.
be seeing that you're limping and raising you with nothing. They might be bluffing you. But most
Mhm.
people in micro stakes games, they play their hand. So when he raises you, he just has a hand, and you can fold your trash, and you only invested half of a big blind,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Okay.
that's fine. Um, I don't like
It's
shoving kings here.
yeah. I should just I guess
Just min
min
raise.
raise or
Yeah, just min
uh,
raise. Get more value. Ugh. This one I don't like either. With more than 10 big blinds, you have 13, 14 big blinds. I would prefer
mm-hmm.
to use a min raise strategy with this hand, because I think it's very marginal to push this. It's probably plus EV slightly, but by min raising, again, you keep the pot smaller and it's less risky. Because if someone has a hand, they're going to push all in against your raise, and you only lose 60 chips. But if you shove 416 and someone wakes up with ace 10 or ace jack or pocket eights, like you're absolutely dominated and your whole tournament is gone. So I
Mm-hmm.
think using a less risky strategy and just min raising whenever you have 14 big blinds on the button is a better play.
Uh-huh.
So you can shovel in with 11 or 10 or maybe even 12, but 14 here is just a bit too deep. Now that
So you would start to shove from 12 big blinds?
Yeah, I think 12 is better. But even with
Okay.
12, there are some hands I would just min raise with. So let's say that you have 12 big blinds and you have like king 2 suited with 12 big blinds on the button. It's a push, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very marginal. It's very close. You don't have to push
Mm-hmm.
that. You can just min raise with 12 big blinds, and then if they push all in, you just say, okay, you had a hand, you fold. You only lose 2
Mm-hmm.
big blinds, you don't lose 12.
Mm-hmm.
And if they call, that's okay because you have the button and you get to play post flop in position, and that's fine. All you do then is you just c-bet, and very often a c-bet will work, and you gain more chips by investing less. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But there are some hands where I would just push all in here with 14 big blinds, and the hands that I would do that with um, are hands that are good pushes. They're very strong
Mm-hmm.
pushes, but if you raise and you get reshoved all in, you have to fold. So hands
Mm-hmm.
like that would be weak aces and small pocket pairs. So pocket twos here,
Mm-hmm.
pocket threes, pocket fours. I mean, any pair really that I'm, any small pair, I would just push all in because to
Uh-huh.
raise and call small pairs, it's not going to be. They don't play very good post flop. So like, you don't want someone to go all in with Jack 10 suited when you have pocket twos. You'd rather just them fold and you pick up the blinds. Even though you're slightly ahead, if you can get them to fold two overcards when you have a small pocket pair, that's fine. You'll take that as a win. So with those small pocket pairs, the same thing goes with weak aces. Like you're okay when you go all in with ace 2 and they have king queen, but like it's 55-45. You don't feel that good about it. If you can get them to fold pre-flop with good fold equity, then you should do
Mm-hmm.
that. Now, the reason why you don't want to do that play with king 4 suited is that shoving king 4 suited with 14 big blinds is like very, very marginal EV. But shoving an
Mm-hmm.
ace here or a pocket twos is a very good plus EV push.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Okay. So kind of the bottom of my range is better for a min raise.
yes, you should be more polarized with the min raise, is what I'm saying. So polarized means you're raising the worst hands and the best hands to as a
Uh-huh.
bluff, and you're
Mm-hmm.
shoving all the middle hands.
And by the way, won't people know it? Like, finally, that like, isn't it so general that people jamming their middle range? So, when someone jams, that they don't have like the best, just the middle of their range.
Yeah, of course. It is at high stakes, yes, you don't want to use that strategy because the very good players will know how to adjust their ranges to exploit you when you're only raising a polarized range. But in low stakes, people don't know that. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to be more exploitable in low stakes games to get more value, and this is how you can get more value. And also, um, even if you're shoving 14 big blinds and they know that you have the middle part of your range, they don't know how to adjust their core range to exploit you. So what I'm saying is, even if they know that you can't have aces, what are they going to do? Are they going to call you with Jack 10 off? No way. They're not calling 14 big blinds looser just because they know that you can't have aces. They just say to themselves, well, she can't have aces, but he looks down at like, I don't know, King 8 offsuit and go, well, I just fold anyway because it's too much. So even when they know, it's just hard for them to adjust to your range. There is a way to adjust, but these players won't know that. So like how you would adjust is that you call more weak aces and more small pairs and more Broadway combinations, but these guys don't know that. So let's say that you're up against, this is more high level strategy, that it's not really something that you need to like memorize this, because in low stakes games, who cares? Like this is something that when you're playing 60s and $100 games, these small adjustments will win you money. But at the moment, it's like not even worth your time learning this because it's just too much information. But I'll say it anyway because it's interesting. So if you're shoving here a polarized range for 14 big blinds, that means you're shoving all the... Sorry, you're not shoving, you're shoving a merged range. You're min-raising a polarized range. So you're min-raising the bluffs and the very strong hands like aces and kings, but you're only shoving the weaker hands in your range. So like the king jack suited you're shoving, the ace 4 suited, the ace 8 offsuit you're just shoving, those kind of hands. What it means is that if the big blind has a middle ace like ace 7 offsuit, he can now call those for 14 big blinds more comfortably than before, because he knows that it's less likely that you have him dominated, because the ace king, the ace queen, the ace jack, and the ace 10 you would just min raise. So he feels more confident calling hands like ace 7 and ace 8 and ace 6 when you just shove. Same thing with medium pairs. So like pocket 4s and pocket 5s, he feels more confident calling those when you just shove, because it's less likely that you have him dominated. It's less likely that you have aces, kings, queens, jacks. And similar thing with him calling hands like king jack, king queen, king 10, and queen jack, because he feels like it's less likely that you have him dominated. But these guys don't know that, so they're just going to have a static call range. They have a range that they call all the time. Maybe it's like ace 8, pocket 7s, king 10, and queen jack. Those are the only hands he calls. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's 10 big blinds or 14 or 20 or 7, or it doesn't matter whether he's calling against you or he's calling against some other player. Those are the only hands he ever calls all in with. Most people play like that in $3 games. Alright, so pretty interesting little discussion, but... Alright, we lose. Let's play another game. So I guess what you should take away from that is with 12 big blinds, you can push all in with everything. But with more than 12, say up to, well, yeah, more than 12, just min raise, unless you get one of those middle hands that you feel like it's a very good push, and you think the blinds might reshove all in. Because let's say a hand like king 10 suited, if you push on the button, it's a very good push. You're going to win a lot of money. But if you min raise it and someone pushes all in, it's not a good raise call. So what you want to do is you want to push that to prevent people from bluffing you by shoving all in preflop with weaker hands. And it's okay to push with king 10 suited because the value of the push is very strong to begin with. But you want to take the low hands in your range, so like the king 2 and the king 3, and like you can use some more bluffs like 8-7 offsuit, I don't know, queen 9 offsuit. You can just raise those hands and then fold. And then you can raise more depending on if the blinds are tight. You can maybe raise 50% or 60% just to steal, and if the blinds are loose, then maybe be a bit tighter.
And would you say that in kind of almost every position, but only under 12 big blinds you would jam?
Yes, the only exception is pocket pairs like pocket sevens through to pocket eights, maybe even, yeah, pocket sevens, eights, and nines. In
Uh-huh.
early position, you can just shove with like 15, because those
Uh-huh.
hands are very hard to play if you see a flop, because often there's overcards and you might have to play out of position, but they're very good pushers for early position, even with
Uh-huh.
15 big blinds. But again, it's going to depend a little bit on, whether it's the bubble or whether it's early stages. But yeah, those are the only hands where you can push for more than 12.
But like I should keep min raising with kind of everything what is in my range
Yes,
uh, until 12 big blind.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, okay.
Alright, and as you get better and more confident, then you can start maybe min raising with 11 big blinds instead of just pushing all in, because you'll start to know um, whether min raising is better than shoving against some people. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're blind versus blind and you have 11 big blinds, but you know that the big blind is very tight. He's folded every single hand, and you
Uh-huh.
have, let's say you have 5-4 offsuit. Now, you can profitably push all in because you know he's a tight player. He's not going to call you loose. But
Uh-huh.
you don't want to risk 11 big blinds against a nit type player.
Uh-huh.
So what you can do is just min raise, even with 11 big blinds, because you have that read that the big blind is a very, very tight player. And
Mm-hmm.
if he calls or pushes all in, you just give up. Maybe you invest a C bet if you see a flop, but other than that, you just give up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're playing a bit safer because you expect him to fold a lot. You don't need to risk your whole stack of 11 big blinds where he folds to a min raise anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of um, how you can improve your ranges when you get more
Uh-huh.
practice. But for the moment, if you're just starting out, yeah, 12 big blinds, just push or fold. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, let's do another game.
I write it up this 12 big blind thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll just shove with tens. That's okay. There's 100 chips out there, so we can win 20% of our stack by just shoving. It's a pretty strong hand, so you might be able to raise to like just raise to get more value, but it's tricky to play out of position.
Mm-hmm.
So I certainly like the shove. I think I would shove because if I raise to 120 and this guy just calls and the small blind calls as well, it's very hard to play tens three-way. The flop might have an overcard. Yeah, I just like shoving there. Good shove. Okay, we'll min raise Jack 9, that's fine. Value bet top pair, value bet again, good. And I'm not that scared of an 8, but I'm kind of scared of a flush maybe.
Yeah, yeah, me
Hmm.
too. I, I'm pretty sure. And I
Hmm.
think he jammed on this, and I might fold it.
Yeah, it's tough to play this because there are some hands that he can have that aren't flushes. So he could have like a king high that he was calling the flop just because it's a paired board, and then he turned a flush draw, and then he misses the river. Like he could have a flush draw with spades that misses, but he could certainly have a flush. He could have a worse 9 that you beat because your jack kicker will play. So he could have like a
Mm-hmm.
9-7, but because you have a 9, that makes it less likely that he also has a 9, and more likely that he has a flush draw. So this is pretty
Yeah,
gross.
yeah,
I'd probably use this spot to block bet and then fold to an all-in, I think. So what that means, oh, he's pretty short though.
yeah.
I don't know, if you check, you have to check fold, which is very gross. This is a very tough hand to play. Um, so for me, it's a decision between check folding and just
Mm-hmm.
block betting. But so block betting, what I would do is bet like 60 chips, so that if he has ace high or king high or a worse 9 than you, he just calls, and
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, you get a little bit of value from those hands. Hmm. But I think it's not worth it. I'd rather just check and then just check
Mm-hmm.
fold, because I think if he has ace high or a 9, he's just going to check river. He's not going to turn those hands into a bluff. It's very hard hand to play though. Bad.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty bad luck. I think he just has a flush here or a full house.
Hmm. Yeah.
Certainly, that's a hard hand to play. So I don't
Hmm.
really. I think you played it very well though. You did
Oh,
good.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we skipped the big blind, which is nice.
Mm.
Suited king. Queen 9 is a good push there. Okay, bubble time with a short stack. Ugh. I don't like this push.
Hmm.
There's a we only
Maybe
have
7-6 suited, or even
yes. Ugh. It's this one's tough because we're pushing into the chip leader. He's got a huge stack. He's gonna call you very very loose. And you only have 4 big blinds, 4.5 big blinds. So like him calling 300 chips, it doesn't mean anything to him. He's gonna call you loose.
hmm
I mean, your only other option is to fold and call loose in the big blind. So it's just a question of next hand, what are the odds of you getting like a better hand than 5-7 suited where you're committed to call all in? And also you have to remember that if you fold this, the small blind can make a mistake by pushing too much and then the big blind calls all in and these guys play a pot now when you've folded. So
hmm
I think that I would fold this 5-7. I mean 7-6. I don't know. I think 7-6 I would go with it though.
hmm
I prefer a fold, but it's nice to see that the big blind folded in that spot. What?
Yeah. Because I was just afraid that like in the next position I will be the big blind and I will just have what I have and I was like, maybe it's so close.
Yeah, I understand that
Mm.
it is scary, but I mean
Yeah.
5-7 next hand you'll probably get something better than 5-7 because 5-7 is a below 50% hand.
Hmm.
So you're going to get the same chance again to get a better hand next hand. And remember
Hmm.
that people can still make mistakes. So even by folding there, like you're not guaranteed to see the next hand. The guy with second chips could shovel in and they could call. And also,
Uh-huh.
even when you hit the big blind, the other short stack could push the button and the small blind could call and then you fold the big blind. So there are 2 chances where the other guy could bust out before you.
Hmm.
So I mean I don't think pushing there with 7-5 is better than folding. I would rather just fold
Okay.
and steal a big blind. And then remember, you could get a walk. It is possible that the big blind just folds to you and you get a walk.
Hmm. Yeah.
Ugh, I don't like this one. So
I should jump.
yeah, definitely just push any 2 cards because we are short and this is our direct opponent. So when you fold against him, you're giving him a lot of equity because you're increasing the gap between last place and second place. So I mean, if this is a very good regular, then you can fold this because he's going to call you a lot. But we don't know anything about this guy. He's probably just an unknown player playing for fun. He's not going to call you correctly, so you can push here any 2 cards into him, even the 4-8 offsuit. Whenever you're playing against your direct opponent, so not the chip leader, you need to be extremely, extremely aggressive.
Uh,
Like the default play is to push any 2 cards. So you need
hmm
a very good reason to fold, and
hmm
I don't see any good reason in this game. This is interesting. Like we push 5-7 suited, but we fold Queen 8. Queen 8's better than 5-7.
Yeah.
So if in your mind you push 5-7, this is also a push, especially because we saw that the chip leader folded last time. So because we
Yeah.
saw that he folded, this is an even better push. Because last time
hmm
I was scared that he was going to call me loose, but he folded.
hmm
So push looser now. So let's just say that we got the 5-7 suited again. Last time I said I would have folded, but this time I would be all for pushing because I saw him fold last time.
Uh-huh.
So we know that he's maybe too tight. Wow, he gave you a walk. Easy game. We'll fold 9-6. Now that we're second in chips, we have to play a little carefully. Fold that. Ugh.
It's too wide.
This is ugly because you're in second place and you have no fold equity. The big blind's calling you with 100% because it only costs him 250 chips. He's getting 2-1. But if you fold, the small blind should be going all in and he should be at risk before you. So because the small blind has less chips and he should be at risk, I would just fold this suited ace. Because you have no fold equity. Wow. Like, he's getting more than 2-1. He should be calling here any two cards. So you need, when you see this happen, when someone folds to an all-in getting 2-1, it's a spot you need to take a note of. So you note young blood 20 and you say folds, big blind, getting 2-1 as the chip leader. It's very important. So that means that you can push looser against him than you would normally. I don't like this push anyway, because I think that Patig 95 should be going all in the small blind. Okay, all in, good. Heads up time. Good job. Heads up is perfect. So, I think we'll just do one more game.
Okay, maybe a long one.
I'm trying to find a long one.
Yeah, like I know which is the biggest size.
The biggest size. The one where you run good. Okay.
Yeah.
50... Okay, I think this is the biggest one that I found.
Oh, by the way, someone asked, twos, 15 big blind, under the gun, all into 5 players. Pulse was the answer.
It's a fold.
That's a fold.
Yeah. Pocket twos under the gun into 5 players with 15 big blinds is a fold. You cannot push that profitably in a sit and go structure. Maybe in a 6 max multi-table tournament where it's all chip EV and it's a very tight table, you could think about playing that hand by shoving, but not in a sit and go structure. Yeah, it's just going to be a fold.
Okay.
So, okay. A lot of green in this game. Looks like you ran pretty good.
Huh.
That's why it's the longest game.
Yeah.
Good. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. We have more than 12 big blinds, but this pocket pair, it's very good push on the button into 2 players, but if you raise and they call or they repush all in, it's not as profitable to play flops, and you cannot really raise call this hand. It's much better just to push and to pick up the blinds. So with this stack size, even with like this is 16 big blinds, that's fine. So small pocket pairs is good. Ugh, this is really, really ugly. This is not a situation to push all in. So we have 19 big blinds, 18 big blinds. So just remember what I said earlier. When you have more than 12, just min raise. The only hand you can push here is like 7s and 8s. But even that, I would just min raise. It's fine. So your plan with this king queen is to min raise. If you get repush all in, well, if it's a very loose player, you can maybe call the all in. But most of the time, you just fold. And if you see a flop, well, maybe we'll see that. We'll see what happens on the flop. But don't risk this many big blinds by pushing all in. You want to just min raise with more than 12. Okay. 3-6, Jack 10. This is... I mean, even in ICM, I don't think this is a profitable push. I think this is too loose. And again, we're pushing more than 12 big blinds. This is 14. And we're getting close to the bubble, so you need to start being a little bit careful. I feel like King 10 suited would be fine to push here, but the King 7 I think is a little bit loose. I would just fold this. I don't think this is a push in ICM in the ICM calculator. Okay. We'll fold fours against a razor, that's good.
Yeah,
Six,
because yeah.
sixes, 10 big blinds, that's good. This sucks. Well, he's a chip leader, and we have more than 10. We have 11 big blinds behind, but he's raising 3 times. This is kind of scary.
Yeah, he's saying he's jamming if I do something,
Yeah, exactly.
kind of.
He's probably calling all in if you push all in, so he probably has a hand. Now, can you call and see a flop? I don't really like it because it costs you 120 chips, and that's a very large part of your stack. It's 5% of your chips. So, and because I think his range is quite tight, I don't like calling that big percentage of my stack. Even though we have position and it's a suited king, I just think his range here is quite strong. Ugh. I think you're playing too risky with a suited king. A very low kicker, like King Jack, King 10 suited would be fine to push all in, because it's a much stronger hand than King 3 suited. I'm surprised that he folded. So it did work, but I just don't like that play. It's too risky for me.
Mm.
Ace Jack, you can push all in. You can also just min raise there to induce more action, because Ace
Uh-huh.
Jack, blind versus blind, is a monster hand. But pushing is fine. Bubble time. Yeah, this is fine to push. It's it's not the best hand, but we can still put a lot of pressure on the big stack because we're pushing 10 big blinds. So this is marginal, but I think it's okay.
Hmm.
If the big stack was a loose player, I would not push that. He needs
Uh-huh,
to
uh-huh.
be a tight-ish kind of normal player to push that weak ace when you're second in chips.
Hmm.
You want to be very careful. So good
Uh-huh.
fold with the pocket fives. There's a short stack around. We don't want to risk 1,000 chips there. We'll just shove ace king. That's good. I like it.
Hmm.
Just fold to the chip leader. That's good. Ugh. Well, we have ace king and he's raising 4 times. Well, we do have a read on him. Last time he raised 3 times the big blind, he folded. So I would
Hmm.
just push all in because I think we still have fold equity. And ace king's okay, but in this situation, if you know for sure that you're getting called 100%, you don't want to push all in. You want to just call and induce the big blind to also call. Because you don't want to go all in against the other chip leader when there's a short stack around, because he has you covered and you're at risk of busting out. Even though ace king's a very strong hand, you don't want to go all in if you're guaranteed that he's calling. But we don't know that, and I think that you still have some fold equity, especially because last time we saw him 3x fold the small blind. So I like the all in here. Ace 8's good. Bad luck. We'll just fold that trash hand. Any 2 cards, good. I love this push. This is beautiful. Queen 4 suited here. 11 big blinds effective, but this is
Uh-huh.
a perfect situation to put a ton of pressure on both of these guys, because once the short stack folds the small blind, the big blind has to be extremely tight because he cannot bust out before the other short stack. So he might call you with hands like ace jack and ace 10, but his call range, he's folding like 90% of the time. And the small blind, he's also not going to be that loose because there's a chance that the big blind might call if he folds. So his range is also tight-ish. Like, he's not going to fold a king 10 suited or like an ace 5 suited, but he's certainly calling tighter here than if you push the small blind and he's the last person to play. So he's probably calling here maybe 25%. So he folds 75% of the time, and the big blind folds 90%. That's a very, very high chance of getting 2 folds. So you can push a loose range here. You don't want to push any 2 cards, but a suited queen is good enough. I would push here around 70% of hands, I think. Good job. That's a situation where a lot of players don't even see that, and they'll just automatically fold. So it's just very impressive to see you push that. Okay, any two cards, good.
Uh-huh.
Ace 9, easy. But this is another good example where, because we have a huge chip lead now, you want to put maximum pressure on these two guys. So this is actually an any two cards push on the button on the bubble, because the small blind is so short that if he folds, the big blind has to now fold hands like Ace Queen and Ace Jack. He has to fold those. I don't think a lot of players will be capable of folding, but that doesn't mean that we should start playing scared, right? You still should push any two cards, even if he's calling a few more hands that he shouldn't be. You can still shove here any two cards, because very often the small blind will just have junk and he'll fold. The big blind is going, oh, well, I have ace 5, like I probably have the best hand, but like I don't want to bust out, so he's just going to fold. So this is an any two cards push on the bubble. We'll fold that. What did he push with? So he tilted and pushed with... Okay, ace 5's fine. He had 9s. Good. Heads up time. Now, I hate folding this deuce 4 offsuit. I know it's a bad hand, heads up. But, we've seen this Eric Yamato. We saw him fold his big blind with 2 big blinds and 3 big blinds behind, like 4 times. So we know he's a tight player. So against a tight player, you can push here any 2 cards, and you can also just limp and play it passively. Both of those options are way better than folding. So just shove or limp. I know that you're playing, when you play heads up, you play off that chart that you have that James printed off, but this is a very, very good example actually of why blindly playing heads up off a chart is going to lose you value. Now, it's very easy when you're starting out poker to play off the chart. You're not going to make mistakes, but you are going to lose value. So, yeah, this is a good example where pushing any 2 cards against a tight player is the correct play, but because you've learnt heads up off a chart, you're missing these spots. So when you start getting more confident, just maybe put the chart away and learn a few more things to do heads up. I'm not saying you have to do it now, but you know, like it's something that you need to do in the future. Is you need to play more dynamically. Wait. Oh, good. I see this. This is good. So this time you decided to limp. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I guess I should play in heads up like kind of 100% of my hands, or not?
On the button, yes. You should. That should be your default strategy in the $3 games, is to play 100% of buttons. So usually when you have less than 7 big blinds, you just push all in, and when you have more than 7, you can push all in, you can min raise, you can limp, but you don't want to fold, because people in low stakes games will not play correctly heads up, and they'll usually play too tight. So limping, you can win the pot with a c-bet. Pushing, they're not going to call you loose enough, so you can win money that way. And min-raising, they're not going to defend wide enough, they're not going to re-push wide enough, they're going to be too tight. So yeah, you need to play 100% of buttons heads up. Now it just depends on the player whether you decide to push all in 100%, or whether you decide to limp, or whether you decide to min-raise. So against tight players like this, I would push all in with less than 10 big blinds, or maybe limp with the very bad hands. Let's say like with 8 or 7 big blinds, you can just limp like you did here. That's perfect. But yeah, definitely don't fold. So we bet and he check calls. Wow, this is a very, very nice turn card for us though. So I would put him on a 4, a 5, or a 10 when he check calls. I know poker's tough when I make that kind of read, guys. Watch out. But yeah, this king is it's scary for him. So I would barrel. I would bet 200, a small bet, but my plan with that size is that if he check calls, we shove river. Any river card we just shove.
Really?
Yeah, of course, because if he has a 4, a 5, or a 10, and a river card is like anything, how is he going to call? He can't call. It's very hard for him.
Like, so if now that the king is there, if he just checks, right, then I jam.
If he check calls on the king, I think he could still be doing that with, draws. Maybe he has a 10 that he doesn't want to let go of. But if you bet turn and then shove river, he really is going to think that you probably have a hand and just fold. It's also very unlikely that he has a king because he just checked pre-flop. So think of hands like king queen, king jack, king 10. If he's got those hands, he's probably going to raise. So he might have king 2 or king 3, but why would king 2 and king 3 call flop? So it's just very, very hard for him to have a king, and it's more likely he has a weak pair. So you need to put maximum pressure on him and bet turn, shove river. So you can choose your bet sizing. Like, you can just shove now for 900 trips, and I think that would be fine. But I would bet smaller, just because I think I get more value. Like, I think that if I bet, he's going to call and then fold river. Like, he has nothing here. This is just... I mean, I would probably fold the way that you played the hand. But I'm tempted to just shove, because I just don't think he has a king. And if he has like a 10 or a 5, or he could have a misdraw. I guess the 3 does complete some draws, like 6, 7, and he doesn't have ace 2, but he could have 2, 6. Yeah, you just played that too passively, but that'll come with experience. That's a hand that will just come with experience, knowing how to play that. So 5, 7, again, play 100% of buttons. You can limp, you can shove. 4, 9, again, play 100%, just shove
Yeah.
or limp. But we already know that, so I'm not going to talk about that again. 6, 3, again, 100%, you need to limp or shove. Ace jack, just call, good. Okay, and now he's all in, and yeah, good. So, do you have any questions? I'm not gonna. We'll finish for today.
Well, I'm thinking, okay, so what I kind of struggle is with when, like, kind of the big blind range, like, from, like if we go through, like, just like 15 big blind, 12 big blind, 8 big blind, 5 big blind. So, like, what would be your calling range?
That's a very, very broad question.
Yeah.
In which
Just like big, like that sucks, like the big blind.
Okay, so you calling the big blind? Is that your question?
Well, the question is like if I have 50. I mean, yeah, I know that it depends on also of who is jamming on me. But if I'm the big blind, like, what is my calling range?
Okay, well, the best way to practice that is to practice in an ICM calculator. So, do you have something like Sit and Go Wizard or?
No, I use Hold'em Resources calculator.
Okay, Hold'em Resources, that's the same thing. So, what you need to do is find hands that you don't know how to call, like in the big blind, mark them down, and then go into Hold'em Resources and put a few different ranges into your opponent and see what hands you can call. So let's say that the small blind's pushing and he has 15 big blinds. Well, you give him one range of 10% and see what you can call. Then give him another range of 20% and see what you can call. Yeah, and then like you practice like that. So you just keep practicing because it really does depend on the opponent and on which position you're in. So I can't really give you like an answer that you can write down. It just takes practice with ICM calculators like Hold'em Resources.
Yeah, like just one specific, because it's pretty often when button shoves.
Sure.
And yeah, and if you just look at the button and like from 15 big blinds and like from there down, like for example, if let's say button shoves whatever for 10 big blinds and I have any ace, is it always a call for 10?
No,
big
no,
No.
no. So
Or
the default range, if button shoves 10 big blinds, you can call any suited ace, but not any offsuit ace. Offsuit aces, you can probably call ace 7 offsuit against the button for 10 big blinds with antes. And any suited ace would be okay. But again, like, it kind of depends. If it's a tight player, then I would not call ace-2 suited, and I might even fold ace-7 off and just call like ace-8 offsuit, and maybe like ace-7 suited against a tight player. But against a loose player, you might be able to call any ace. So it's just going to depend. But I mean, default, I would say ace-7 offsuit for 10 big blinds, and any suited ace is fine against the button shove in the big blind. And you can call king-queen, king-jack, king-10 suited, like pocket fours. I would fold threes and twos. So yeah, like pocket fours, something like that. That's a default, but you know, it depends. If he's loose, you can call more. If he's tight, you have to call less.
Yeah.
The best way to study is to go into Hold'em resources with a few hands and just put in different ranges, and then eventually, after you do that 100 times, you'll know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, cause that's kind of a hard thing, I think. Cause like the pushing range is like that's easier to learn, but when someone push what to call with, I think that's difficult, more difficult.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It just takes practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, basically that's what I kind of struggle with still. Yeah.
All right,
But like obviously there are more topics too. But yeah,
cool.
basically.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah. Like I try to collect like I try to make screenshots of hands I
Mhm.
marked that what is the answer, and I keep them in different folders, and I was checking under the gun hijack cutoff,
Mhm.
and I started to check button, but like I'm pretty sure that like small blind and big blind makes a big difference.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
Just
so
just keep practicing. It's just you just have to practice.
mm-hmm.
So you know,
Yeah.
I know that you mark hands while you play. That's really good. So just make sure you're always reviewing those hands, and you will
Mm-hmm.
get better. Just you're not gonna memorize it all instantly. There's a lot to know, so it just
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of experience, a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I heard that some people said that there's a program which teaches you or the bubble or yeah, maybe someone said that there's a good video of bubble or something like that.
Probably. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
yeah.
Well, good luck in
Okay,
your
but
games. Do you have any other
thank you.
questions before I go?
Oh, I feel so not prepared for play now, but
You're
oh,
good. You're still a good player, WildHungarian. Obviously,
uh,
there's always things to improve on, but you're playing $3 games. You're way better than everyone else in those games. I can tell you that right now. So,
mhm.
so don't feel unconfident. Like you're better than everyone you play with in $3 games, guaranteed. I feel very confident saying that. So just keep doing
Oh,
what you're
thank you.
doing, keep practicing, and you will move up eventually. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. I hope. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, thank you for the lesson. And I will. I wanna just to feel like enough self-confident before the next lessons. I wanna check the small blind and the big blind too.
Okay.
Like to know better, and yeah,
Yep.
to be more prepared and everything.
Okay. No problem. All right. Well,
Yeah,
thanks everyone for watching.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And thank you for the lesson.
it's okay. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Are you gonna play or not?
I'm probably not. No, it's pretty. I need to go eat. I'm hungry.
What's the time there now?
12:39 in the afternoon, so just after lunchtime.
Oh, okay. It's 4:39 a.m. here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You need to go sleep.
Yeah, I guess, but I think I will play a little
Okay.
before.
Well, good luck in the games.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the lesson, and I hope yeah, like everybody liked it, and we will let others know on Twitter when it's gonna be the next.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Yeah,
See ya.
yeah. Thank you. See you.
Bye. All right, guys. We're still live. Um. Okay. Let me just fix my OBS. All right. Yeah. So yeah, it is like pretty late for me, so I'm gonna call the stream now. Thanks everyone for watching the coaching. Hope you enjoyed it. Um, if you had any questions, I didn't really read chat because I was concentrating on coaching. Um, if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat with a @pulseau, and I'll answer them in the chat just by typing. You can also tweet me if you have any queries, or follow me on Twitter. That'll help too. Thanks everyone for watching. I will be back tomorrow at the same time to play some more sit and goes. I think we're up to 500. Let me just check. Oh, I don't know. I have to reload PokerStars. We're up to 500. We won 80. We won 80 something. Yeah, we're up to 500. Winner, winner. Alright, so we'll probably play some 30s tomorrow, guys. Good luck in your games. See you tomorrow.